Imagine this. Out of the deepest, darkest corner of a distant galaxy, a fleet of colossal alien ships appears. They glide silently into our solar system, positioning a massive space station over Earth, glowing with a mysterious green light. Inside, beings they call observers, the elite of their kind, gather around shimmering holograms. They communicate without a sound, their thoughts weaving together as they study us, the unsuspecting humans below. One of them, Zyrel, descends in a stealth shuttle, a ghost in our atmosphere. They watch us, fascinated by our primitive rockets and fumbling attempts to reach the stars, completely unaware of the silent audience above. But their in the silent, unending tapestry of the cosmos, something new appeared, a flicker, then a tear in the fabric of space-time. From this rupture, a fleet emerged, not with the fire and fury of conquerors, but with the quiet grace of ghosts. They were a flotilla of obsidian shards, impossibly smooth, reflecting the distant starlight in cold, sharp glints. At their heart was the monolith, a station so vast it blotted out entire constellations as it moved. It was a city in the void, a silent watcher traveling across intergalactic deserts for eons. Its destination, a small, unassuming blue marble teeming with life. Their journey had been long, a pilgrimage measured in the lives of stars. Now, they hung in the high orbit of Earth, a new, unseen moon in the sky. The station settled into a geosynchronous position, a predator choosing its perch. Its surface, a mosaic of dark, non-reflective panels, absorbed the light of the sun, rendering it utterly invisible to the burgeoning technology of the world below. Telescopes scanning the heavens saw only the familiar patterns of stars, oblivious to the colossal entity hiding in plain sight. Down on Earth, life continued its chaotic, beautiful dance. Humans went to work, fell in love, fought wars, and dreamed of the future, all under the shadow of a secret they could not even imagine. Inside the station, the silence was of a different kind. It was the hum of anticipation, the thrum of immense power held in reserve. The crew, beings of elegant, elongated forms and skin that shimmered like captured nebulae, moved with practiced, deliberate grace. Their bridge was not a room of flashing buttons and loud alarms, but a tranquil amphitheater bathed in soft, ethereal light. A massive holographic sphere dominated the center of the chamber, and now it began to glow. With a gesture from the fleet commander, the sphere flickered and resolved into a perfect, detailed replica of the planet below. Oceans swirled, clouds drifted, and the tiny, glittering lights of human cities bloomed across the night side. The great scan began. Tendrils of invisible energy, more delicate than a spider's thread, reached down from the station, caressing the planet's atmosphere. They weren't looking for weapons or weaknesses in the way a human military might. Their search was far more profound. They drank in the planet's data, streams radio waves carrying music and news, satellite signals relaying whispered conversations, the chaotic torrent of the internet. They cataloged every language, every song, every declaration of love, and every cry of despair. They were listening to the planet's soul. The aliens were not invaders. They were observers, scholars, and perhaps judges. The crew gathered around the central hologram, their large, dark eyes fixed on the swirling blue world. They watched humanity's broadcasts, a confusing, vibrant kaleidoscope of art, conflict, and commerce. They saw images of great kindness and breathtaking cruelty, often in the same breath. Were these creatures a threat? A promise? A species on the verge of greatness or self-destruction? The data was inconclusive. The commander watched the flickering lights of a city, a spiderweb of human connection and ambition. The first phase was complete. They had arrived, unseen. Now, the long watch would begin. They would continue to listen, to learn, and to wait for the day when humanity might finally look up and see them. Imagine this, a sleek, obsidian ship, silent as the void it travels through, parks itself in the orbit of a new, blue-green world. Inside, there are no clunky controls, no bustling bridge crews like in our old movies. Instead, there are the observers, These aren't your typical little green men. They are the absolute elite of their civilization, a trio of specialists, hand-picked for the most important mission of all, understanding new life. First, there's the biologist. Picture a being whose entire existence is dedicated to life in all its forms. They don't just look at a planet, they feel its pulse. Through their advanced senses, they can perceive the intricate dance of ecosystems, from the hum of the smallest insect to the slow, deep breath of an ancient forest. They can map out an entire planet's evolutionary history in moments, understanding how each creature, each plant, fits into the grand tapestry. For them, our Earth isn't just a rock with water on it. It's a living, breathing symphony of biology, a masterpiece of cosmic creation they've traveled light years to witness. Next to them, or rather, intertwined with their consciousness, is the communications specialist. This observer's domain is the very essence of connection. They don't just listen for radio waves or signals. They tap into the planet's collective consciousness, the subtle, unspoken languages of its dominant species. They can feel the joy, the fear, the curiosity, and the confusion that ripples through a society. They translate not just words, but concepts, emotions, and cultural nuances that are impossible to convey through simple language. When they look at humanity, they see a chaotic but beautiful network of stories, art, and ideas, all buzzing with a desire to be understood. And finally, there's the defender. This isn't a warrior in our sense of the word. They don't carry weapons of destruction. Their specialty is defense, but on a scale we can barely comprehend. They create shields of pure energy that can deflect asteroids, neutralize solar flares, and create zones of absolute tranquility. Their purpose isn't to conquer, but to protect the mission, to protect the subject of their observation from any outside cosmic harm. They are the silent guardians, ensuring that this delicate process of understanding can unfold without interruption. Their power is immense, but it's a power wielded with the precision of a surgeon, used only to preserve, never to destroy. How do they work together? Not through spoken words. They communicate through shimmering, intricate holographic projections that dance in the air between them, displaying complex data as pure art. More profoundly, they use a telepathic interface, a shared mental space where thoughts, sensations, and vast amounts of information are exchanged instantly. A question from the biologist about a strange new species is immediately answered with a cultural context from the communications specialist and a potential environmental risk assessment from the defender. It's a seamless fusion of minds, a hive of intellect working in perfect harmony. Their ship, their technology, their very way of being reveals a society that has moved beyond conflict, beyond ego. They are pure curiosity, pure intellect, driven by a profound respect for the universe and all its children. They are the observers, and right now, they're looking at us, not to judge, not to conquer, but simply to understand. For centuries, we watched from the quiet dark, our silent vigil over the shimmering blue marble you call Earth. We observed your rise, your cities that bloom like electric flowers in the night, your art, your wars, your endless, fascinating contradictions. We learned your languages from the whispers of your broadcasts, the echoes of your digital lives, bouncing off your own satellites. We remained unseen, unheard, abiding by the prime directive of non-interference. We were the galaxy's best-kept secret. But then, everything changed. It began with a whisper, a ghost in the machine. A signal, faint and distorted, reached our deep space sensors. It wasn't one of yours, not a modern transmission from your bustling networks. This was an antique, a relic. Our archives confirmed its origin, a spacecraft you had launched decades ago, a hopeful message in a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean. We knew it as Voyager. It was supposed to be silent, its power source long since faded into the cold. Yet here it was, awake and talking. The messages were erratic, a chaotic jumble of data fragments. They weren't the elegant greetings and scientific data it originally carried. This was something new, something alien even to us. The transmission pulsed with a strange rhythm, a frantic heartbeat in the void. Was it a malfunction? The slow decay of ancient technology finally succumbing to the harshness of space? Or was it something more? On our bridge, a council convened. The debate was fierce. The signal's pattern, once decoded, revealed a complex structure, far too sophisticated for a simple system failure. It resembled a distress call, but layered within it was a sequence that our threat analysis algorithms flagged as a potential warning. A warning of what? Or from what? One faction argued it was a trap, a lure set by an unknown intelligence using your own probe as bait. They urged caution, advocating we destroy the probe from a distance, silencing it before it could draw unwanted attention to your solar system, and by extension, to us. They reminded us of the Prime Directive. Interference, they argued, could lead to a catastrophe we couldn't predict. Another faction saw it differently. They saw a cry for help. Perhaps the probe hadn't just been found. Perhaps it had found something that had changed it, augmented it. They argued that the warning wasn't aimed at us, but asterisk for asterisk us, and for you. A desperate attempt by whatever intelligence had intercepted Voyager to communicate a looming danger. To ignore it, they claimed, would be a dereliction of our duty as silent guardians. What if this wasn't just about a single probe, but about the fate of an entire quadrant? The Voyager probe, your tiny, brave messenger, had become the focal point of a galactic mystery. As the commander, the decision fell to me. The weight of two civilizations, ours and yours, rested on this single choice. To destroy the probe would be to embrace the safety of ignorance, to let a potential threat, or a potential plea for help, simply vanish. We would never know the truth. To investigate would mean breaking our most sacred law. It would mean revealing our existence, intervening in your destiny, and stepping out from the shadows into the light. The erratic signal from Voyager continued its desperate pulse, a cosmic question mark hanging in the void. I looked at the shimmering blue of Earth on our main screen, so full of life and unaware. What would you do? The time for watching was over. It was time to act. I gave the order. Set a course for the Voyager probe. Maximum warp. We were going to get some answers. Log entry, cycle 734. The Council's decision is final. I am to be the observer. Designation, 0. My mission is simple, yet profound. Witness, but do not interfere. The subject. A world they call Earth, and the curious species that dominates it, humanity. From the high orbit of the mothership, I've watched their world spin, a blue and white marble of staggering beauty. Their radio waves, a chaotic symphony of music, news, and stories, have been my constant companions. But data streams and long-range scans can only tell you so much. To truly understand, one must get closer. The descent was a whisper in the night. My stealth shuttle, the Silent Tier, sliced through their atmosphere without a ripple, a ghost in their own skies. I chose a remote location, a place they call the Mojave Desert. Barren, isolated, perfect. Landing was as soft as a breath. The ship's chameleon-like shell, blending seamlessly into the rocky terrain. Here, I would establish my observation post. The air, thin and dry, tasted of dust and something else, potential. I activated the long-range optical sensors, my window to their world. My first target was a sprawling facility not far from my landing site, a hive of human activity. They were preparing something big. Gantries and towers clawed at the sky, and at the center of it all stood a monument to their ambition, a rocket. It was crude by my standards, a brute force contraption propelled by controlled explosions. But the passion, the sheer determination, etched on the faces of the engineers and scientists I watched through my scopes, was anything but crude. It was inspiring. I watched them for days, which turned into weeks. I learned their rhythms, the pre-dawn flurry of activity, the quiet hum of late-night calculations, the shared moments of triumph and frustration. They were not a monolith. There was the lead engineer, A woman with tired eyes, but a smile that could light up the control room when a test went right. There was the young prodigy, barely an adult, whose hands flew across keyboards with a dancer's grace. They argued, they laughed, they shared coffee from steaming mugs. They were a family, bound by a shared dream. This was more than just science to them. I saw it in the way they'd sometimes pause their work, step outside, and just stare up at the stars. The same stars I called home. There was a longing in their eyes, a yearning to touch the void, to understand their place in the grand cosmic tapestry. They were reaching, not with weapons of conquest, but with hands of curiosity. They launched probes named Voyager and Pioneer, sending them out into the darkness with messages of peace and a map of their home. They were so fragile, so fleeting in their individual lifespans, yet their collective curiosity was a force of nature. They looked at the vast, silent emptiness of space and didn't see a threat, but a challenge, an invitation. From the shadows of a desert rock, Izyral, an observer from a civilization that had long since forgotten the thrill of a first step, felt a forgotten spark. This species, this loud, messy, and brilliant humanity, was fascinating. They were looking for a sign, for proof that they weren't alone. And here I was, the very proof they sought, hidden in plain sight, utterly captivated by their relentless, beautiful, and audacious reach for the stars. My mission was to observe, but I found myself learning what it means to dream. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Back on the station, everything was supposed to be routine. We monitor, we observe, we report. Earth was just another data point, another planet teeming with a noisy, chaotic species. We'd been picking up their signals for decades: radio waves, television broadcasts, the endless chatter of their digital age. It was mostly noise, a jumble of entertainment and news that painted a picture of a civilization obsessed with itself. We logged it, archived it, and moved on. The standing order was clear: non-interference. We were cosmic librarians, not participants. Then came the signal. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was buried deep within the background radiation of their global communications network, a whisper in a hurricane of noise. At first, we dismissed it as an anomaly, a ghost in the machine. But one of our observers, a linguist named Kalen, couldn't let it go. He was known for his obsessive attention to detail, a trait that had both earned him respect and driven his colleagues crazy. For weeks, he isolated the fragment, running it through every decryption algorithm we had. Nothing. It didn't match any known human language, current or ancient. Kalen became a ghost himself, haunting the data archives, his eyes red-rimmed from sleepless nights. He believed it was a code, a key of some kind. We told him he was chasing shadows, that the signal was probably just a corrupted data packet from some forgotten satellite. But he persisted. He started cross-referencing the signal's waveform with non-human languages, starting with the known galactic dialects. Still nothing. The signal was stubbornly unique. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. Kalen was reviewing our own archives, specifically the records from the first contact era, thousands of cycles ago. These were dusty, digital files detailing the earliest interactions our species had with others. In one of the appendices he found it, a reference to a precursor race, a civilization so ancient they were considered mythological. They were rumored to have seeded life across this galactic arm, but all direct evidence of them had vanished eons ago. And attached to that file was a single, tiny audio fragment, a recording of what was believed to be their language. He overlaid it with the Earth's signal. It was a perfect match. A chill ran through the observation deck. The signal from Earth wasn't human. It was a piece of this ancient, mythical language. It was like finding a line of Latin in a baby's first words. How was this possible? Humans had no contact with this race. They couldn't possibly know their language. The implications were staggering. We reanalyzed everything, scanning the entire spectrum of human transmissions with this new filter. The fragments were everywhere, hidden in their music, embedded in the static between their radio stations, woven into the very fabric of their digital world. They weren't transmitting it consciously. It was as if their collective activity, their entire civilization, was unintentionally generating these pieces of a larger message. The new hypothesis was terrifying and exhilarating. The humans weren't just a random, evolving species. They were carriers. Their biology, their culture, their very existence might be an unwitting vessel for a message from a long-dead race of gods. And for the first time, we had to confront a new question. Was this message meant for us? Or was it meant for someone else entirely? And we had just intercepted mail that was billions of years in the making. Our mission of non-interference suddenly felt very, very fragile. We were no longer just observers. We were now custodians of a secret that could rewrite the history of the galaxy. The code was being broadcast, and we were the only ones who could hear it. The Prime Directive? For generations, it was the unshakable foundation of our mission. Observe, record, but never interfere. We've watched humanity for centuries, charting their progress from scattered tribes to a civilization on the cusp of reaching for the stars themselves. We've seen their brilliance, their art, their capacity for love and compassion, but we've also seen their other side, their wars, their self-destructive tendencies, the slow poisoning of their own beautiful world. The signal logs from their planet grow more alarming with each cycle. Ecological collapse, political instability, resource scarcity. The warning signs are all there, flashing in stark, undeniable data streams, and it's tearing us apart. For the first time in our long history, the council chamber echoes with raised voices. The debate is no longer academic. It's urgent. It's visceral. On one side, you have the traditionalists, led by Elder Zoran. He stands firm, his voice a low, steady rumble, reminding us of the catastrophes that can unfold when a higher civilization meddles in the development of another. He speaks of cultural contamination, of unintended consequences that could ripple through their history and shatter their destiny. He argues that humanity must find its own way, that their struggles are part of their evolution. To interfere, he says, is to rob them of their greatest triumphs, born from their deepest trials. He believes our role is to be silent witnesses, guardians of a history they must write for themselves, for better or for worse. But a new faction has emerged, young and impassioned, led by the brilliant xenobotanist, Lyra. She projects holograms of dying forests and polluted oceans onto the chamber walls. She shows them the faces of their children, living under the shadow of a future we see coming with terrifying clarity. Lyra argues that the Prime Directive was never meant to be a suicide pact. It was a principle of protection, not a doctrine of cold indifference. What is the point, she asks, of meticulously recording the extinction of a species when we have the means to prevent it? She proposes a subtle intervention, a nudge, releasing clean energy schematics, introducing resilient crop genetics, sharing atmospheric purification technology, not as gifts from the sky, but as discoveries they can make on their own. She believes we can guide them without revealing ourselves, giving them the tools they need to save themselves. The tension on the station is so thick you could cut it with a plasma torch. Old friendships are fraying. Crews that once worked in perfect harmony now pass each other in the corridors with suspicion in their eyes. Secret meetings are held in quiet cargo bays and darkened observation decks. Lyra's faction grows bolder, convinced that inaction is a moral failure. Zoran's followers are digging in, terrified that a single misstep could doom the very people they are trying to protect. They whisper of a slippery slope, where one small act of guidance leads to another, until we become their gods, their masters, and ultimately, their destroyers. I find myself caught in the middle. I look down at that swirling blue marble, so vibrant and full of chaotic life. I see their potential, a light that could one day join us among the stars. But I also see the darkness gathering at their edges. The data doesn't lie. They are on a precipice. The question that haunts my every waking moment is no longer if we should act, but what happens when one side decides to act without the other's consent? Have you ever stared up at the night sky and felt a sense of being watched? Like somewhere, out in the vast, silent darkness, another pair of eyes is staring right back. For most of us, it's just a fleeting thought, a bit of cosmic poetry. But what if I told you that feeling is real? And what if I told you those eyes are getting closer, not because they're coming to us, but because we are on the verge of going to them? For decades, we've sent signals into space, hoping for a reply. The Arecibo message, the Voyager Golden Record, little cosmic postcards from humanity. We've been shouting into the void, and most people assume nobody has answered. That's where the story gets interesting. The truth is, the universe isn't silent, it's whispering, and we're about to learn its language. My sources, let's call them shadows of Earth, have brought me something unsettling. Evidence. Not blurry photos or crackly audio, but hard data suggesting that a fundamental shift is happening right now. In labs and research facilities all over the world, humanity is on the precipice of a breakthrough that will redefine our existence, practical faster than light travel. Think about that. Not in 1,000 years, not even in 100. We're talking within our lifetime. The signs have been there, hidden in plain sight. Breakthroughs in quantum physics, new understandings of space-time, exotic matter research that sounds like it's pulled straight from science fiction. The mainstream media reports these as isolated discoveries. But when you connect the dots, a different picture emerges. It's a roadmap to the stars. But here's the critical part, the reason I'm sharing this. This great leap forward isn't happening in a vacuum. As our technology gets more sophisticated, we're accidentally tuning into cosmic frequencies we were never meant to hear. The universe, it turns out, is full of traffic. Alien transmissions, data streams, communications zipping between star systems. And some of us, regular people, are unknowingly picking up fragments of these signals. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head you've never heard before? Or a sudden, brilliant idea that seems to come from nowhere? What about that strange, rhythmic static you sometimes hear on the edge of a radio frequency? It's not just your imagination. These are what my source spiral calls echoes, fragments of alien transmissions bleeding through into our world, picked up by our own sensitive, biological receivers, our brains. Most people dismiss it. A glitch in the matrix, a moment of déjà vu. But for a select few, the signal is clearer. Artists, musicians, scientists, even programmers. They're channeling this information without even realizing it. A composer writes a symphony that perfectly mirrors the mathematical structure of a distant nebula. A novelist describes a world with two suns, only for astronomers to discover a real one years later. These aren't coincidences, these are leaks, and these leaks are dangerous. Not because the information itself is harmful, but because it draws attention. By unwittingly tapping into these networks, we are flagging our position in the galaxy. We re like a child who has found their parents' phone and is now randomly dialing numbers. We don't know who we're calling, or what the consequences will be when they answer. Zero's evidence suggests that other civilizations are aware of our progress. They see us fumbling with the keys to the universe, and it makes them nervous. Are we ready for what's out there? Are we mature enough as a species to join the galactic community, or will we bring our chaos and conflict to the stars? This isn't about panic, it's about awareness. The next time you have a strange dream of a city under a purple sky, or a brilliant, unexplainable flash of insight, stop and consider its origin. You might just be listening in on a conversation that spans galaxies. We are standing at the threshold of a new era. We're about to step out of our cradle and into the cosmos. The question is, what will we find when we open the door? And more importantly, what will find us? The experiment began subtly, not with a grand arrival or a thunderous declaration, but with a whisper. On a planet teeming with life, a grand silent intelligence watched, intrigued by the volatile and brilliant species known as humanity. They saw our art, our wars, our capacity for both profound love and immense destruction. They decided not to conquer, not to reveal, but to guide. to see what would happen if they just gave us a little nudge. It started with dreams. A physicist in Bern, struggling with a complex equation, dreamt of a spiraling galaxy where the answer was written in the stars. He woke up, frantically scribbled it down, and a new era of energy production was born. An engineer in Tokyo, known for her practical designs, started having vivid visions of interlocking, self-repairing materials. She couldn't explain where the ideas came from, but she knew, with an unshakable certainty, that they would work. Across the globe, these gifts were bestowed upon a select few, not just scientists, but artists, musicians, and philosophers. Blueprints for impossible engines appeared on workshop benches, seemingly out of thin air. Melodies that resonated with the very frequency of the universe filled the minds of composers as they slept. These chosen individuals felt it a gentle, unseen force, a guiding hand, as one of them described it. They didn't feel controlled. They felt inspired, elevated. They began to build. In secret garages and well-funded laboratories, devices straight out of science fiction started to take shape. A painter, who had never touched a circuit board, began assembling a machine that could translate thoughts into photorealistic images. A reclusive biologist, guided by dreams of alien botany, started cultivating plants that could absorb atmospheric pollutants at an impossible rate. Of course, the world took notice. These inventions were too advanced, too revolutionary, to be a mere leap in progress. Governments grew suspicious. The public was awestruck and a little bit frightened. How could a handful of seemingly ordinary people suddenly possess knowledge far beyond our current capabilities? Theories flew around. Were they part of a secret society? A hidden genius collective? The creators themselves had no answers. They only knew that their minds had been opened to something vast and wonderful. They'd meet in secret, sharing their experiences, trying to understand the source of their inspiration. They all described the same feeling, a sense of benevolent curiosity, of being part of a grand, cosmic experiment. The guiding hand wasn't forcing them. It was simply offering a new set of tools and waiting, with infinite patience, to see what they would build. The aliens watched, their silent observation continuing. They saw humanity's reaction, the fear, the wonder, the greed, the hope. They saw how these new technologies were being used, for both good and ill. The experiment wasn't about the technology itself. It was about us. Could we handle the power? Could we rise to the occasion? Or would we succumb to our worst instincts? The guiding hand had placed the pieces on the board. Deep in the void, where starlight struggles to pierce the darkness, sits the Axiom 7 space station. It's a marvel of engineering, a beacon of human ambition, adrift in the cosmos. But tonight, its silent hum is about to be shattered. On board is Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant but disgraced astrophysicist. He was exiled to this remote outpost for his radical theories, the belief that not only are we not alone, but that an alien civilization is actively watching us, communicating on a frequency so complex it's hidden in plain sight within cosmic background radiation. Tonight, Thorne is about to prove he was right. Surrounded by a chaotic nest of custom-built processors and jury-rigged comes arrays, he runs his final decryption sequence. His screen floods with code, a cascade of green symbols against a black void. He's bypassed every known protocol, pushed his equipment to the brink of meltdown. He's not just listening anymore. He's trying to talk back. He types a simple, arrogant message. "Can you hear me now?" and hits send. For a moment, there's nothing but the soft whir of the station's life support. Then, a single alien character blinks onto his screen, a reply. A wave of triumphant adrenaline surges through him. He did it. He made contact. But his victory is short-lived. In his reckless pursuit of validation, Thorne overlooked one critical detail. His unauthorized transmission wasn't a whisper into the void. It was a deafening shout. It didn't just carry his message. It carried a digital signature, a breadcrumb trail leading directly back to its source. His signal, a beacon of human defiance, also broadcasted the exact coordinates of Axioms. He just put a giant cosmic target on his back, and on the backs of everyone on the station. Light years away, on a world bathed in the glow of a binary sun, an alarm blares. Not a sound, but a psychic pulse that ripples through the collective consciousness of the beings known as the Signans. Their central hub, a crystalline entity that serves as their global network, registers an anomaly, a primitive brute force intrusion into their primary frequency. This has never happened before. Their communication is a delicate, multi-layered tapestry woven into the fabric of space-time. For an outsider to even detect it is improbable. To breach it is impossible. Yet the evidence is undeniable. Panic, a concept almost foreign to their logical minds, begins to surface. A specialized unit of analysts, their minds linked directly to the hub, is dispatched. Their task: dissect this alien signal. Is this a sophisticated attack? An act of war from a previously unknown power? Or is it something else entirely? They trace the signal's origin, mapping its trajectory through the galaxy. The source is crude, chaotic, and carries an astonishing amount of unfiltered data. They see images of the sending vessel, the Axiom 7 station. They see its internal schematics, its power source, its life support systems. And they see the sender. One single, biological entity, a human. Confusion ripples through the Signan analysts. The signal is aggressive in its intrusion, yet simplistic in its message. It's like a child banging on a door it somehow managed to unlock. One analyst projects its findings to the collective. The intruder is a member of an emerging species from the third planet of a yellow dwarf star. They are a volatile, emotionally driven race, prone to acts of both great creation and catastrophic destruction. They are considered a level C civilization pre-interstellar and a low-priority observation target. So, how did one of them achieve this? The Signans analyze Thorne's methods. They see the raw power, the brute force of his algorithms. It's not elegant. It's not sophisticated. It's messy, but undeniably effective. He didn't pick the lock. He blew the door off its hinges. The implications are staggering. If one isolated member of this primitive species can do this, what could their entire civilization do if they were united? The debate rages within the Signan collective. Is this human an anomaly, a rogue agent, or is he the herald of a new, unpredictable threat? The more they analyze the data packet Thorne sent, the more they learn about humanity. They see our art, our wars, our love, our hatred. They see our potential and our self-destructive tendencies. The single human, Dr. Eris Thorne, has inadvertently given them a complete, uncensored dossier on all of humanity. Back on Axiom 7, Thorne is oblivious. He's trying to decipher the single character on his screen, convinced he's on the verge of the greatest discovery in history. He doesn't know that his station is now the most scrutinized object in the galaxy. He doesn't know that a silent, powerful force is analyzing his every move, weighing the fate of his world in their multi-fingered hands. The intruder has been identified. Now, the Signans must decide. The logs from the Odyssey always felt incomplete. We'd charted hundreds of systems, cataloged thousands of life forms, but Earth was different. From orbit, it was a vibrant blue marble, teeming with a chaotic, brilliant species called humanity. They were young, full of fire and ambition, broadcasting their art and their arguments out into the void. Our mission was simple: observe, document, and remain unseen. But Commander Zale, with his insatiable curiosity, always pushed the boundaries. It started with a ghost signal, a faint, repeating energy signature buried deep beneath the planet's crust, far older than any human technology. It wasn't geological. It was structured, intelligent. We recalibrated our deep core scanners, peeling back layers of rock and time. What we found silenced the entire bridge. It wasn't just a signal. It was a network. A vast, skeletal grid of a metropolis lay dormant, crushed under the weight of eons. Continents had shifted, mountains had risen, but the ghost city remained. Earth wasn't a cradle of life. It was a tomb, and humanity wasn't its first child. The civilization before them We called them the progenitors, were masters of energy. Their artifacts, which we managed to analyze from the faint resonance they still emitted, pulsed with a power we could barely comprehend. They had harnessed zero-point energy, bending space and time. They could build stars and move planets. They were, for all intents and purposes, gods. So what happened? Where did they go? The answer was in the heart of their dead city. A central data core, miraculously shielded from whatever catastrophe had occurred, still held a flicker of life. With painstaking effort, our linguists and cryptographers decoded the final transmission. It wasn't a log or a historical record. It was a warning. The progenitors hadn't been wiped out by an asteroid or a solar flare. They had destroyed themselves. Their ultimate creation, a device designed to draw energy from parallel realities, had become unstable. It was meant to be a source of infinite, clean power. But their ambition outpaced their wisdom. They took too much, too fast, creating a cascading paradox that began to unravel their own reality. The very fabric of their existence was torn apart. The final message was chilling. It describes cities flickering out of existence, people fading into nothing, and the sky itself cracking like glass. The progenitors, in their final moments, did the only thing they could. They triggered a planetary reset, a cataclysmic event designed to erase their technology and bury their mistakes, hoping that one day, new life might get a second chance. And then we saw it. We cross-referenced the progenitor's energy signature with current human activity. On a small island in the Pacific, a team of human scientists was celebrating a breakthrough. They called it Project Chimera. They had just achieved the first stable extraction of exotic matter from a quantum foam. The energy readings were faint, almost negligible, but the signature, it was identical. Humanity, in its brilliant, reckless youth, was walking the exact same path. They were standing on the shoulders of giants, completely unaware that those giants had fallen into an abyss of their own making. Imagine a being older than stars, watching humanity's first flicker of consciousness. They've seen empires rise and fall, not on Earth, but across countless worlds scattered through the cosmos. They are the observers, a collective of ancient minds whose sole purpose is to witness the universe unfold. They have one unbreakable rule: never interfere. But Earth is different. We are a paradox of brilliance and self-destruction. A species that composes symphonies and builds weapons of planetary annihilation in the same breath. And now, the observers face their greatest dilemma. They see the branching timelines, the potential futures stretching out before us. In many, we achieve a golden age, spreading to the stars with wisdom and peace. The debate rages within their silent, telepathic council. One faction argues that to intervene, even with the slightest nudge, is to rob humanity of its most precious gift, free will. Our struggles, our mistakes, our triumphs, they are what define us. To guide us would be to turn us into pets, our destiny, a pre-written script. What is a victory if the path to it is paved by a god? They believe true growth can only come from the freedom to fail, even if that failure is absolute. The universe, they contend, is a grand untamed experiment, and every outcome, beautiful or tragic, is a valid data point in its story. But another faction sees it differently. They look at our art, our love, our capacity for compassion, and they see something too precious to lose. They argue that their non-interference is not a noble principle, but a cold, passive form of cruelty. Is it truly just to stand by and watch a child stumble into a fire, simply to honor their freedom to choose their own path? They see us as that child, brilliant but naive, playing with matches we don't understand. A gentle whisper, a nudge in the right direction, a subtle redirection of a key historical event. Is that not an act of cosmic compassion? They believe their vast knowledge confers a responsibility, a duty to protect nascent life from its own self-destructive tendencies. This isn't just about saving us, it's about them. To intervene would be to break their oldest, most sacred vow. It would change who they are, transforming them from passive chroniclers into active gods. The weight of that choice is immense. What if their guidance leads to an even worse outcome? What if their help creates a stagnant, dependent civilization that never reaches its true potential? The road to hell, after all, is often paved with good intentions. So the question hangs in the cosmic silence, a decision that could shape the fate of our entire world. Are we alone in our struggle, destined to carve our own path, or perish by our own hand? Or is there a silent guardian in the dark, wrestling with the choice to either honor our freedom or ensure our survival? Perhaps the most profound truth is that we will never know. Our future is our own, for better or for worse, and we have to live as if we are the only ones who can save ourselves. Imagine a being older than stars, watching humanity's first flicker of consciousness. They've seen empires rise and fall, not on Earth, but across countless worlds scattered through the cosmos. They are the observers, a collective of ancient minds whose sole purpose is to witness the universe unfold. They have one unbreakable rule: never interfere. But Earth is different. We are a paradox of brilliance and self-destruction, a species that composes symphonies and builds weapons of planetary annihilation in the same breath. And now, the observers face their greatest dilemma. They see the branching timelines, the potential futures stretching out before us. In many, we achieve a golden age, spreading to the stars with wisdom and peace. The debate rages within their silent, telepathic council. One faction argues that to intervene, even with the slightest nudge, is to rob humanity of its most precious gift, free will. Our struggles, our mistakes, our triumphs, they are what define us. To guide us would be to turn us into pets, our destiny, a pre-written script. What is a victory if the path to it is paved by a god? They believe true growth can only come from the freedom to fail, even if that failure is absolute. The universe, they contend, is a grand untamed experiment, and every outcome, beautiful or tragic, is a valid data point in its story. But another faction sees it differently. They look at our art, our love, our capacity for compassion, and they see something too precious to lose. They argue that their non-interference is not a noble principle, but a cold, passive form of cruelty. Is it truly just to stand by and watch a child stumble into a fire, simply to honor their freedom to choose their own path? They see us as that child, brilliant but naive, playing with matches we don't understand. A gentle whisper, a nudge in the right direction, a subtle redirection of a key historical event. Is that not an act of cosmic compassion? They believe their vast knowledge confers a responsibility, a duty to protect nascent life from its own self-destructive tendencies. This isn't just about saving us, it's about them. To intervene would be to break their oldest, most sacred vow. It would change who they are, transforming them from passive chroniclers into active gods. The weight of that choice is immense. What if their guidance leads to an even worse outcome? What if their help creates a stagnant, dependent civilization that never reaches its true potential? The road to hell, after all, is often paved with good intentions. So the question hangs in the cosmic silence, a decision that could shape the fate of our entire world. Are we alone in our struggle, destined to carve our own path, or perish by our own hand? Or is there a silent guardian in the dark, wrestling with the choice to either honor our freedom or ensure our survival? Perhaps the most profound truth is that we will never know. Our future is our own, for better or for worse, and we have to live as if we are the only ones who can save ourselves. Imagine this. One ordinary Tuesday, the sky just changes. Not with clouds or a storm, but with light. A colossal message, a hologram stretching from horizon to horizon, appears over every major city on Earth. It's not in English, or Chinese, or any language we know. It's a complex, elegant script of pure, shimmering light. Simultaneously, every screen on the planet phones, TVs, billboards, flickers, and displays the same alien text. For 12 breathtaking hours, the world stands still, necks craned, watching the silent, celestial broadcast. The message is a warning. It's a desperate plea from a civilization far beyond our own, a species that has walked the same path we are on now. They show us images, not of conquest or threat, but of their own world, once vibrant, now a barren wasteland. They show us their history, a story of unchecked industrialization, of a planet choked by pollution, of a society that consumed its home until there was nothing left. They are the ghosts of our future, showing us the catastrophic consequences of our own actions. They detail how our rising temperatures, our plastic-filled oceans, our disregard for ecological balance. It's not just damaging, it's a final, irreversible countdown. They had the same signs, the same warnings from their own scientists, and they ignored them, just like we are. The hologram shows their final, desperate attempts to reverse the damage, but it was too late. Their world died, and they became cosmic wanderers, their message a final testament. But how do our world leaders react? Do they heed this profound, universe-shattering warning? No. In closed-door meetings and emergency summits, they label it the great cosmic anomaly of the 21st century. Top scientists are brought in, not to decipher the message of survival, but to analyze the light's frequency, its projection method, its energy source. It's categorized as a natural, albeit unexplained, phenomenon. A beautiful but meaningless light show from a distant nebula, perhaps. The media follows suit. News channels run segments on the physics-defying celestial event. Pundits debate whether it was a solar flare, a unique atmospheric condition, or even a sophisticated prank by a rival nation. The sheer scale makes them dismiss the possibility of it being a message. It's too big, too advanced, too alien. It's easier to explain it away than to face the terrifying truth it represents. And so, the greatest warning in human history is filed away. It becomes a footnote, a weird day everyone remembers, but no one truly understands. Humanity, given a direct glimpse into its own potential doom, collectively shrugs and goes back to business as usual. The factories keep churning out smoke, the plastic keeps piling up, and the planet continues to warm. The cosmic message wasn't a threat of invasion. It was an offer of wisdom, a shared history from across the stars to save us from ourselves. And we, in our arrogance and our fear, dismissed it as a pretty light in the sky. The clock is still ticking. The countdown they warned us about continues. But now we're walking toward the cliff's edge with our eyes deliberately shut. The silence that followed the message is now the most terrifying sound of all, because it's the sound of a choice being made for us by our own inaction. The vast expanse of space, once a canvas of silent stars, had become a theater of unspoken goodbyes. The alien fleet, a breathtaking and terrifying sight that had held our world captive, began its slow, deliberate retreat. Ship after ship, each a city of metal and light, peeled away from Earth's orbit, their forms shimmering and vanishing into the blackness like ghosts. It wasn't a panicked escape, but a calculated withdrawal, a dignified departure. Their powerful sensor arrays remained active, sweeping across our planet one last time, their gaze a mixture of curiosity, warning, and perhaps a strange kind of respect. We had been studied, judged, and ultimately spared. The hum of their engines that had resonated in our skies and in our bones for weeks finally faded into an unsettling silence. The world collectively held its breath, watching the last of the colossal vessels disappear, leaving behind a sky that felt both empty and full of unanswered questions. Was it over? Was this peace? Or just a pause? As humanity looked up, grappling with the enormity of what had just happened, one final, subtle act of the visitors' grand play was unfolding. Unseen by the telescopes and radars of Earth, a single, smaller vessel detached from the departing flagship. It was sleek, a shard of obsidian against the velvet of space, designed for stealth and observation. This was Zeryl's ship. His mission was different. He was not to leave. While his kin journeyed back to their distant home, he was to remain, a solitary guardian, a silent watcher. His task was to understand us, not as a species to be catalogued, but as a civilization on the brink of its own cosmic dawn or self-inflicted twilight. He was to be the bridge, the quiet observer, ensuring that the delicate balance they had decided to leave intact would not be shattered by our own hands. With practiced precision, Zyro maneuvered his craft into a complex, geosynchronous orbit, a dance among the metal husks of our own making. His ship, cloaked in technology that bent light and absorbed radar signals, settled among the silent, drifting satellites that we had flung into the heavens. To any observer from Earth, he was just another piece of space debris, a forgotten relic of our own technological ambition. From his hidden vantage point, Earth was a stunning marble of blue, white, and green, vibrant and alive. He could see the lights of our cities bloom across the continents as night fell, a sprawling network of our collective existence. He was close enough to see the storms rage and the seasons change, yet utterly, completely alone. His long vigil had begun. From his command chair, Zyril activated the ship's primary observation systems. Holographic displays flickered to life around him, projecting a torrent of data. He wasn't just watching, he was listening. He tapped into the planet's vast, chaotic web of communications. He saw our news reports, a cacophony of fear, relief, and wild speculation. He heard our music, a spectrum of human emotion, from sorrow to joy. He read our stories, our histories, our dreams for the future, all stored in digital whispers. He watched families reuniting, leaders addressing nations, and scientists scrambling to make sense of the impossible. He saw our capacity for great love and profound hatred, for breathtaking creativity and senseless destruction. It was an overwhelming, contradictory, and beautiful tapestry of a species trying to find its way. Cyril knew his mission was not one of days or weeks, but of years, perhaps even decades. A silent message, a whisper across the void. That's how it began. Not with invading fleets or booming declarations, but with a stream of data, a cosmic breadcrumb trail left for us to find. For generations, we stared at the stars, feeling utterly alone. We shouted into the darkness, and for the first time, something whispered back. The messages were a puzzle box of unimaginable complexity. They contained no language we knew, no simple greetings. Instead, they were pure information physics, mathematics, biology, all woven into an intricate tapestry that defied our understanding. At first, chaos. Governments fell, new religions rose, and society fractured under the weight of this revelation. We weren't the sole proprietors of thought in the universe. But from that chaos, a new kind of unity emerged. The brightest minds from every nation, every discipline, came together. They weren't just scientists and engineers. They were artists, philosophers, historians. They understood that this wasn't just a technical problem to be solved. It was a mirror held up to our very soul. Slowly, painstakingly, we began to decipher the alien encyclopedia. We found schematics for energy sources that could power our world for millennia without a single puff of pollution. We discovered medical breakthroughs that could rewrite our own genetic code, curing diseases that had plagued us since the dawn of time. Our technology leaped forward centuries in mere decades. We built cities that touched the clouds, vehicles that silently glided through the air, and networks that connected every human mind in a seamless flow of ideas. But the most profound changes weren't in our gadgets or our cities, they were in us. The messages also contained history, the story of a civilization that had faced the same trials we did. They spoke of division, of war, of squandered resources, and a planet pushed to the brink. They were showing us their scars, not as a warning, but as a lesson in cosmic empathy. We saw ourselves in their rise, and their near. Our philosophies began to shift. The old divisions of nation and creed started to feel so small, so terrestrial. We were no longer just citizens of a country. We were citizens of Earth, a single, fragile bauble in a vast, populated cosmos. We learned to manage our world, not as masters, but as custodians. We started healing the damage we'd done, reforesting our lands and cleaning our oceans with a fervor born of newfound perspective. We understood that the ultimate test of a civilization wasn't how high it could build, but how well it could endure, and how kindly it treated its home. And as we changed, as we built and learned and grew, we knew they were watching. We still don't know their name, or what they look like. Their silence remains, but it's no longer the silence of an empty room. It's the quiet, patient silence of a teacher, of a distant older sibling, watching to see if we'll finally get it right. They gave us the tools, but the work had to be our own. They showed us the path, but our feet had to walk it. Today, our world is transformed. We still have our problems, our disagreements. We are still beautifully, imperfectly human, but we are no longer alone. Every night, when we look up at the star-dusted sky, we don't feel a sense of cosmic loneliness. We feel a sense of connection, of shared destiny. A new dawn has broken for humanity, not because aliens came to save us, but because they showed us how to save ourselves. The conversation has just begun, and the entire universe is waiting to hear what we have to say. Thank you for watching this journey with us. If this story sparked your imagination, consider subscribing for more tales from the edge of what's possible. Until next time, keep looking up.